So today we are working on what to do with a rambunctious teenager. Ernie is going to help us with that today. So the biggest things when working with a teenager is putting in structure, boundaries, and working through impulse control while giving them something to do without being rigid. So playing games that they know that focus on them being focused on you, staying in place, and keeping control of their body and their mind without doing it at the same exact time in the same exact place at the same exact way every single time, because that starts to lead to more anxiety. You want to vary it by having the same rules of the game, but playing them in different areas at different times with different things. So sometimes it might be a foam mat, sometimes it's a dog bed, sometimes it's a towel, sometimes it's a piece of tape on the floor. You can vary it in however ways you want, but just to expand how they learn that staying in place means staying in place no matter where or what they're doing. So, good boy. So the place position is the down on the ground, laying down. He's snatching at the treat. So what I'm doing there is when he snatches at me, I'm not going to release the treat. I am going to hold it a different way. So I'm going to hold it in my hand this way, with my hand flat, so I can give the treat this way, and he can't snatch at my fingers when I have it in my fingers. And this also allows, good, and that allows him to take the treat easier. So now as he's in this place, I'm going to stand back a little bit, and I'm going to wait and build some duration. So again, this is something that you've already built. You've already built the value for place. You've already taught him that getting off of it and coming back is a very good thing to do. These are all games that we've worked on previously, and this is the next step and how we put it into action when we want it to be something that teaches our dog to be a certain way all the time. So every now and then I'll come in and just reward him by tossing a treat towards him, and I'll time it. So at first I might only do it for a minute, maybe 30 seconds, depending on what he can handle. And then as he gets better at it, I will extend the amount of time. So today we're working on 5 minutes. I'm not going to do that for this whole video because that would get very boring. But he's at the point where we're working on this for 5 minutes, where I can stand away and he can stay in place and stay still for 5 minutes with other things going around. Right now the other dogs have left for half-day daycare and they're in nap time, so he's not dealing with the distractions he dealt with earlier, but this is something that we do. So right there, if he gets up without me asking him to, I'm going to put him right back into his spot with no reward, but also no punishment. It's just going to be very neutral. Come back to your spot, stay here, lay down, and then build some duration. So now I'm going to wait for a little bit, now that he's been still. Now I can reward, so that I don't teach him that getting up and going back gets the reward, but that staying in place gets the reward. So that is the first thing with dealing with a rambunctious teenager, is place. That game is great. Another thing is going out and doing the stop and watch, where you find a place and they start to get overstimulated. You're finding a spot away from the action and helping them to relax and just take in the world in one spot. You're not moving forward, you're not going for a walk, you're literally going to one spot. You can drive there, open the car door and watch from the car, or get down from the car and stand still. Or you can do this from your house, where you leave the front door and stand at the end of the driveway and just watch. And that is in another video, so there are instructions for how to play that game. This is an important one for teenagers, to allow them to take in things, not get overstimulated, so that they don't feel like every time they go out they're overwhelmed, so that it starts to build the anxiety and deteriorates their confidence. We want to make sure that our teenagers are getting a lot of reinforcement with the big world out there is something that they can handle. So the next thing is to be very engaging when you're walking. So that can take the shape of any sort of training on your walk. So today I'm going to show you how to incorporate tug into your walk and how to incorporate the spin game into your walk, which I'm not sure if he does a spin well, so we might not do the spin game, but we'll at least do the tug and see how he's at the spin. So now I'm gonna release him free, good boy. So I wanna make sure that when I release him, he comes to me. So there's food scattered behind me. And that's another thing too, is don't let them be so impulsive that every time something drops, they're allowed to go grab it. They have to wait for you to release them to it. Good boy. So when I release him from the place, free, I want him to come to me. So I'll have a treat or a toy or some reason for him to come to me and ignore that. So the next thing we're gonna do is the tug reward. First, we're gonna get him playing tug. Get him excited with the toy. Back and forth is a good way to play this rather than side to side. Let him do his own movements, but I'm gonna kind of push the toy towards him and then pull it away. Let him really get tugging on it. And then I'm going to give him a cue, and I'm gonna hold a piece of treat next to his nose and let him come off of the toy. If he doesn't want what I have, I'm going to take the toy with both hands really close to his mouth and hold it until he gets bored and releases it. So we're just gonna hold this and wait. Good. So he's thinking about it, but he hasn't quite decided to let go completely. Good, out. So he's grabbed another piece of the toy. So I'm gonna grab this again. Good, out. And then I'll reward him with a toy or a treat. And then I'll release the toy again and let him play. So it's important for him to know at first that when it gets taken away, it comes right back, it's no big deal. Good. So I'm gonna try that again. I'm going to take the toy, take the treat, put the treat next to his face. He doesn't want it. Have high value treats. The treats I have are kind of medium value, so they're not exactly as exciting as the tug toy. So I'm gonna just wait. Get very boring. Yes, good. Good, out. Good. There you go. I'm gonna tug again. So the next time I'll show you how to put this into the walk. And I think we're just gonna focus on the tug right now. The spin I have in a different video with Tilly. So I will show that spin game while you're walking with Tilly. So, it's gonna get very boring. Just wait. This is one of the harder parts of training, is just waiting and allowing them to figure something out rather than telling them what to do. But when you are waiting and you're allowing them to figure this out, it lets them start to use their brain, which gets them more tired. And it also makes the lesson stick better because they start to, yes, figure out that they're doing it themselves. So it sticks better. So when I'm going to use the toy, good boy, as a walking part, I'm gonna get him into position on my right. I practice both right and left when I'm walking. Because heel is not something I'm gonna be doing in a show ring, I can do it with either side. Good. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna walk a few steps. So there he was going for a treat on the ground. So I made a noise and a scuffle to kind of get his attention back to me. And now I can walk a few steps with me. I will put that toy right in his face. Good, we'll tug. If you're doing this game, make sure you at first. That's something you can work up to. So now, because he is so distracted, I'm going to put the leash back on so he can't wander away from me while I'm doing this. At first, I want him to learn where the position is. Eventually, I'll do this without a leash on, but for right now, he's not good enough at knowing where position is to do it off leash yet. So, I'm going to take this back and get boring. Yes. Good, out. Good, out. Good. So now I'm going to walk with him in position. As he's walking, he's nice and focused. He gets a little ahead of me and then have him come back. Good. Yes, good. And I'm resetting him by moving my body. Yes. Good. So I'm going to back up. I'm going to use my hand as a lure. And you can see he's getting distracted because I waited too long to play with the toy. So when you're doing this exercise, you want to keep him super focused. So at first, you're going to be playing with the toy every few steps. So I'm going to get him going. Yep. Walk, walk, walk. Release the toy. So it might only be 2 steps at first when you're doing this. 2 steps, tug, reset. 2 steps, tug, reset. And then as he gets more and more focused, you can add more steps in between the tug toy. So now I'm going to get boring again. Thank you, good boy. Good. And we're going to take 2 steps. 1, 2, I'm going to release the toy again. Yes, good. Good tug. Get boring. Out. Good. 1, 2, 3. And now we release it again. And then I'm going to get boring. Good. Out. Good. I'm going to reset him this way so I can come towards the camera and you can see it. Good. Good. So 1, 2, 3. Release the toy. And I want to make sure that those 2 or 3 steps are really quality steps. He's focused on me. He's walking next to me, right on that heel position where his shoulder or head, somewhere between his ear and his shoulder, is right next to my leg. Good. I'm going to get boring. Out. Good. 1, 2. He's a little ahead of me. I'm going to reset him, taking him out, bringing him around. 1, 2, now a release. So where you release the toy and where you reward the position is what he is going to learn to do. So if you want a dog that's going to walk right next to you in a position where he's perfectly sideways, not walking ahead, not crossing your front end, not doing, putting his body way over there, wherever you release the toy is where he's going to learn to be. So be very conscious of when and how you reward if you want to have a very specific heel. All right, so now we're going to get boring again. And this is how you would do it with a non-food motivated dog as well. Good, out. Or if you don't want to use treats, maybe your dog is on a restricted diet plan. Good. Now I'm going to reward him for being in position there. Good. Very good. And now we can walk forward. So he's getting ahead of me. Come back. Good. Yes. So he's ahead of me again. I'm going to bring him back. being very conscious of the position I want him to be in. And you can see, as we're working, he's working for the treats, but he is not nearly as focused as when he's working for the toy. So sometimes the toy, especially when you've got a high drive, rambunctious teenage dog, sometimes that tug toy is much more rewarding than the treats in your pocket. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.